My name is Wes, I'm 21 years old, and this is my 2006 Subaru WRX Limited, Part 2. So, if you are new to the channel, this will be an unfamiliar video to you, but if you are not, I have done this video before in the past. We're here about 2 years later since the last video of the WRX, the complete overview, and there have been some significant changes to the car, and I'm here to tell you about them. So, I've had this car for about 3 years now, and it took a drastic change from being an extremely slam static Subaru to a very, very stereotypical Subaru to a stereotypical-ish bagged Subaru, and now the completely color changed stance, still a Subaru and not unique in any way, shape, or form car that it is today. But like I said, had it for about 3 years, and this is the current state of where it is. So I am going to grab my phone, pull up the mod list, that way I can make sure I go in order, so when I film the cinematics it makes it a little bit easier. But to start off, is my favorite part of the whole car is the visuals, the exterior, and all the things done to it on the outside. To start is probably the most obvious thing, it is the paint. This is paint not wrap, so it is a midnight purple, and the color comes from a R33 Nissan Skyline, so it is an OEM color, just not a Subaru OEM color. So absolutely love the paint color. It was probably one of my favorite colors, and I'm so glad I did it because it looks absolutely incredible. The color could not have come out more perfect. Following the color, the wheels are SSR TF1s. They are an 18 by 10 plus 11, and I'm not running any spacers, adapters, or anything like that, so that is just how they fit. And I'm running a 215 35/18 Achilles Sport tire on them. They were just freshly mounted, they fit and stretch perfectly, and they actually helped the front sit a little bit lower than it once was. Speaking of low, the car is on Airlift Performance struts and an Airlift Performance 3P management system. It has worked flawlessly for me for probably 2 years now. I'm going to do a video on an Airlift overview after 2 years of use. I think that would be a really cool video for anybody curious about air suspension. That would be very beneficial for those people. So after the bags, you're going to notice the chrome tint on the side windows. The chrome tint was something that I wasn't too sure about, and then once I did it, I fell in love and honestly love the chrome on the purple. I think it fits so perfectly, and it's becoming a lot more popular and a lot more people are doing it, but I'm very glad that I do have it, and even though people start to use it, whatever, I like how it looks, and that's all that matters. I do have some custom retrofitted headlights, and they have been on the car for a very, very long time. Work great, have absolutely no issues, and they continue to just work. And just with everything in the video, if you're curious on where I got them or how they were done, etc., it'll be down in the description, so go ahead and check that out if you're curious about anything I can link. And then moving on to the taillights, still one of my favorite things done to this car ever since I got them. They are Lumistatic taillights, and they are in the E design, not the C, and I just love the Lumistatic taillights. They are just, in my opinion, one of the best taillights for a GD, Subaru, or any car for that matter. Lumistatic does great work, and their lights just look awesome. Honestly, one of my favorite parts of the entire car. And right above the taillights, you're gonna notice a Battle Arrow Force 3 wing. I love the big wing. I was in between the Battle Arrow and the APR wing, and I didn't have a lot of carbon on the car, so it didn't really make sense to have a carbon fiber wing. And a year and a half ago, $1,800 versus $600 really drew me to the Battle Arrow. Honestly though, it's held up. It's given me no issues. There's no wobble, there's no rattle, there's no rust, and it just looks and acts exactly how I wanted, and I couldn't be happier with it. And I also have an APR license plate frame piece. I don't know the technical term, but it's a license plate bracket thing that bolts under your license plate and like does a carbon fiber you'll see the pan shot, but it's really cool. I think it adds a lot of depth to the bumper and kind of breaks up the smooth stock Subaru bumper. So I really enjoy how that looks. And then moving back up front is my front lip. It is a C-Bond carbon fiber front lip. This lip was definitely a chunk of change to buy when I first got it, but being on air suspension, I don't really have to worry about it, and I just think it looks so much better than the eBay lips, considering that it's glossy and it has some depth to it, and it sticks out pretty far, and you don't really ever see any of these. The car also has an STI carbon fiber hood scoop, and that's something I think I overlooked in the first video, but it's been paint matched, so it doesn't really matter. It's just taller compared to the normal WRX one. So moving on to performance, something this car does not have a ton of, but it's there to make noises, and that's about it. Power was never my goal with this car, and I don't think it will be with honestly any car I ever own. Power is very, very expensive, and it ends up breaking and then costing you more money. Now that's just my personal opinion. I love fast cars. I think they're super dope. If this car made a lot of horsepower, I wouldn't complain, but for a WRX to make a decent amount of horsepower reliably costs a lot of money, and to me it's just not worth it. But for the few things that it does have done, we'll just go over them really quickly. As all Subarus probably do once they reach a certain amount of miles, it has a freshly rebuilt long block along with pistons, head gaskets, gaskets all around, fresh clutch, all of that. Yeah, it's a Subaru, so that's probably not really a mod, but a lot of work went into it, so I figured I'd mention it. It also has a SPC cold air intake, and that I repainted. I'm gonna be embarrassed by these pan shots in my engine bay because they're not pretty, and the engine bay itself is very ugly. But like I said, it's not a goal of mine. I like how the car looks with the hood closed rather than the hood open. I think with the hood open, it kind of breaks up the body lines of the car and just doesn't make it look as good. So it's never been a goal of mine, never probably will be a goal of mine, maybe to clean it up a little bit, but that's about it. I also have a Turbo XS front mount intercooler, so that was on the car when I bought it originally, and I was gonna go back to a top mount, but the bumper just looked so empty, and I just like how it looks. And honestly, I don't notice any turbo lag when it comes to building boost in this car, so there was no reason to replace that. I have a Mishimoto radiator, a Mishimoto upper coolant reservoir, and that's pretty much it when it comes to the coolant system itself. I do have a Go Fast Bits blow-off valve, and that has been on the car for quite some time now. Honestly, for the noises, I have it set to about 50-50 recirculation and venting to atmosphere. When it was sent to 100% vent, it would run the car super rich, and I just didn't like that. So 50-50 is very, very beneficial for blow-off noises and keeping it from going super rich. I also have an electronic boost controller in the car. I did a video on that, and it's not a Grimspeed or any of those ones. You can actually buy the modules that Grimspeed and like Parent use before they rebrand them and then jack the price up. So it works exactly the same as any of those electronic boost controllers, but costs about 30 bucks. So I do have a video on that on my channel if you wanted to check it out. I think there's a link to the boost controller in the description, but the link to that video will be in the description of this video. So if you're curious, go check it out. This car also has a VF39 STI turbo. A while ago, the TD04 turbo started to burn a lot of oil, so rather than replace the TD04 or get it rebuilt, I found an STI turbo with low miles, I think on eBay or Facebook, one of the two. Threw it in there, stopped burning oil, and now I have an STI turbo, which is a little bit bigger than the TD04, so it helps with building boost with the front mount intercooler, and I think that's why I don't really have any boost lag. I also have a Grimspeed 38mm external wastegate, so along with controlling boost a lot more consistently, it also makes incredible noises. External wastegates are fantastic, and I think they sound absolutely insane, and I love every second of getting on it with the external wastegate. And to finish up performance, we're talking about a 3-inch straight pipe exhaust all the way from the turbo back into some dual blast pipes out the rear. So that wraps it up for the performance. Now we'll move on to the interior. So the interior has never had a lot done to it in the past, but it has progressed and gained a few little things over the time of me owning it. The most notable thing on the interior is the seats. They are Corbeau reclining and sliding seats, and I really like how they feel, and they sit super low in the car, and they're actually very, very comfortable for such a low profile looking seat. Richie can attest to that when we drove up to Philly a while ago, and he said they are very, very comfortable. So we were in the car for like 5 hours and he didn't complain once, except for the heat, because I don't use AC. I also have an NRG steering wheel and a quick release hub. That steering wheel is probably going to get replaced here soon. It has just been in the car since I bought it, and I just never spent the money to buy a new steering wheel. It needs replaced, but it's there. It looks okay soon enough. I also have a JVC double din radio. I like double dins in these cars because I feel they fill out the center console very, very well, and it looks a lot more clean and modern than your single dins and a little cubby or stock radio, obviously. So touchscreen, does Bluetooth, plays music. That's all I ever needed. I also have a We Are Likewise shift knob with the extension. I love all of their products. I think We Are Likewise is some of the coolest looking stuff. I really wanted their lug nuts, the Bones series that they came out with, but they were just so expensive, and my lug nuts on there have worked fine for me for so long, and I just couldn't get rid of them or want to pay the $400 for lug nuts. But overall, absolutely love the shift knob. People always ask me if it's difficult to drive, and no, it's just a longer throw. But for a car I don't race or like go to the track or like try to shift really, really fast, it's actually really comfortable for cruising. It's like the guys you see with like motorcycles where they hang their arms off the handlebars. It's like shifting from up here. I like it a lot. I also have my custom-made airlift controller mount. It's actually just a phone mount that I mounted to the side of the center console. I did make a video on how to make that, so if you wanted to build one for your own 02 to 07 WRX or like legacy or car in general, I will link that down in the description, so if you guys wanted to do it, you can. I also just recently replaced the A, B, and C pillar trim with black trim rather than the gray tannish color. I think it looks a lot better, and I don't know why Subaru didn't just make the whole interior black, but they didn't, so I'm slowly working on doing that myself. But definitely like it a lot more than the gray. I also have a glow shift boost gauge and an AEM air to fuel ratio gauge. They have both worked for me perfectly fine for a very, very long time. So I really have no complaints, and they do exactly what they say they do every single time. Also, one of my favorite things that I did on the interior is the JDM Impreza gauge cluster. Now, it looks similar to your STI gauge cluster because it's red and it sweeps when you start up the car. But the cool thing about this one rather than the STI one is it says Impreza, just like the stock one did. Now, when you swap an STI over, it says STI. This car is not an STI, nor anything close to one. So there's absolutely no reason for that to say STI. It is an Impreza WRX, and it'll always be that. So I like the little detail of the JDM one that says Impreza rather than STI. It also reads in kilometers and Celsius. It's really cool to have stuff that's different. So I really do enjoy it. It's really, really visually appealing, and I love the red. So much better. I also have a dash cam tucked away right behind the mirror. You really can't see it from the outside at all, but it's one of those things where, God forbid, something happens while driving. I have it on film, and there's no disputing it. It's boom, this happened, here's the footage, we're done. Just for precautions, definitely worth the investment. This is part of the interior, but you have to pop the trunk to take a look at it. I have a custom hardwood trunk setup. I did it myself. It was very, very simple. It was just to pretty much mount everything in the trunk for the bags, but to do it in a semi-visually appealing manner. So I did make a video on that if you do want to see how to do that. Very, very easy. If you don't have a trunk setup and you want something even temporary, totally worth it. And honestly, I'm just gonna keep it like this because I do actually like it a lot. And the last thing are my floor mats. They're Garage Moon Power Arizona Iced Tea floor mats. They kind of matched a little better with the blue, but I kind of like them with the purple too. So kind of unique, kind of different, and they're floor mats. Not really much else to say about it. So overall, I absolutely love how this car turned out and all the time and the effort that went into making it look exactly how it did. It just turned out great. I love how it sits now. It's so much lower to the ground. The fitment is so much better. It's a little bit more camber in the rear, a little bit more up front. It just came together. I think the Midnight Purple was something that I was hesitant about because of the cost, but ended up pulling the trigger on and absolutely loving it. It has no scratches, has no dings, no dents, no rust. It's just perfect. And I think that was something that really bugged me when it was blue. It had a lot of all those things, and it was really frustrating to look at. So I love the car, and I hope you guys do too. And this video is so overdue, but it almost makes it better that it's overdue because there's more done and it looks more complete. So this is about as complete as I would say. The only things I would love to have are carbon fiber side skirts and a Voltex rear diffuser, and I would genuinely Other than the steering wheel, I guess. Consider it done. Like, engine bay aside, it would be done. So maybe one day, we'll see. The Supra has been consuming a lot of my time and effort, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this overview and liked how the Subaru is looking. If you like how it's looking and want to follow the build and see all the things that are going to get done to it in the future and my Toyota Supra, please consider subscribing. It really means so much, and every time a new subscriber notification pops up, I get all like giddy inside, and it's super exciting to see. So if you have any questions about the car, I'm very happy to answer them down in the comments. You can DM me on Instagram, you can throw them down in the comments. You can do any of that stuff. If you have any questions about anything, honestly, happy to answer them for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, have an awesome day.